go ahead and just introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here. My name is Lee Johnson. Some people call me Dewayne Johnson. That's what they have in the papers and all that. I never use that name. But yeah, you can call me Lee, and just thank you for having me. Is that?
Yeah. Okay. I'm Richard Cregan. I'm a state representative from District 5, and I'm chair of agriculture. So that's kind of particularly relevant. But I'm also a physician, so I, been following this issue and the cases against Monsanto and Bayer because I think we're at a crossroads in our state now where we have to make some tough decisions, right? I mean, I've been using glyphosate, for fence lines and stuff for a long time, and now I'm, with everything that's coming out, as we know, agricultural companies hide stuff, and now some of that's coming out. So, and with cases like these and the other ones that were decided against Bayer, they've lost 40% of their value, and we have to take this issue much more seriously than just a few months ago. So thank you.
Like I said, I've been working on pesticide policy for years, both at the county and the state level, and that also includes spending time with farmers and landscapers, a lot of time with organic farmers who just need help in this system that really isn't set up for them to succeed, working with organic landscapers and on policy itself. For farmers, I fill in the gaps that they need something, a better tax system or better access to water or better access to products, and I help them fill in those gaps, right? I'm kind of like a troubleshooter for them. So lately that's what I've been doing for county agencies as well. They want to do something different, but they're overworked and understaffed.
Underfunded.
Yeah, so it's a real thing that I know you guys are dealing with. So I kind of help them troubleshoot. Like, okay, you guys need a way to deal with this 10-mile stretch of highway that's not working right now. I have the time to go look into that when I know you don't. It's the same thing I do with farmers. So that's kind of the capacity that I'm here to talk to you guys about. And all of this boils down to my goal over the last however many years that I've been doing this is to lighten the load of pesticide use on our islands. If you look at how much pesticides and herbicides is being used on these islands, whether it's agriculture or on public lands for landscape maintenance, it's appalling. The numbers are really, really shocking. So whatever we can do in whatever capacity we can to lighten that load and bring those numbers down, that's where I'm working. And that's going to intersect with the work that you guys are doing in however I can help. And I want to set the mood for this meeting that this is not about blaming anybody for how we're doing things now. It's not about getting angry for whatever mistakes we've made. We are all in the same boat. It's about addressing the reality that the way we're doing things now is maybe not the best way we can be doing things. So let's talk about that. We're making people in the ecosystem sick, collectively, the way we're doing things, and that no one of us takes that blame, but we have the power to really be heroes here and turn things around. We have Lee's case, we have cases that came after him, we have undeniable problems with our fish and our limu and our water quality. We all have the power to change that if we work together. So I'd like to work with you on that. Okay, Lee, take it away.
Okay, so I'm basically here just to tell you basically what happened to me. I used to have a small company called Earth Movers before I started with the school district, and that was an organic company that we just didn't do anything like that, spray pesticides, whatever. We did everything manually by hand. We've even torn out beds of ivy, just it is what it is, we just won't spray stuff. But when I went to the school district, it was their policy to apply herbicides, and I was even given a stipend to pay to spray herbicides. So yeah, so that's what I did. I got the job and started to spray. I was amazed actually when I first sprayed Roundup at how it just turned everything all purple and green and yellow, and then it really wasn't dead, but it just, you knew it was dying. So I was amazed at the product, to be honest, when I first saw it. But what I didn't like about the product is I had to go back and do it again and again and again. And that just wasn't my training from the union to go in there and keep doing things over and over. It was my training to fix something and not have to go back there for a good long time. So what happened to me is that I used to get there early in the morning when it was dark, put on my PPE, go in there and mix up. PPE is personal protection equipment. Those are what, I don't know why this guy's not wearing that, but it's a, if you ever seen like a Tyvek suit that people paint in, I used to wear that. I used to wear water resistant and chemical resistant boots, and the gloves that he's wearing up to my elbows, the little green dishwasher gloves, but a lot thicker. So what happened to me is that I had a big 150-gallon sprayer that you mix with herbicide and water on the back of my truck. The sprayer the hose became detached from the tank. The hooked to a Honda engine is running, and the juice is coming out of the hose. The hose became detached because I was all the way maxed out with my stretch, and it came off of the unit. At this point, liquid is funneling just out of that tank, you know what I mean? Because it's a power sprayer, so the engine is pumping it still. So I got in there to turn that off because my safety switch was not working. It wouldn't turn it off. So I had to get inside the truck and get showered with this stuff. It went down in my Tyvek suit. It went everywhere, on my face, all kind of places. So, and the liquid is still running down the street. So I had to build a little dam of mud and whatever and dirt I could find and stop it from getting into the waterways, because the drain was right near it, maybe a few feet down from where I was at. So I stopped that, and then I ended up stopping the liquid and ended up going back to the shop, getting cleaned up, changing shirts, and went back to work. Another time I was exposed, I was spraying with a backpack sprayer for probably about 2-3 hours, and my back became really wet. Now, it didn't feel like sweat, it felt like liquid. And this was after I was already diagnosed with cutaneous T-cell lymphoma when I was using the backpack. But I had to keep using it because it was my job, and I couldn't just switch jobs. But I was in the process of trying to get out of it. But I ended up with the backpack on and ended up exposed again. And it was just worse for me. So I got really sick, and I've been sick for 5 years. And before I sprayed Ranger Pro, before I touched any pesticides, I had flawless skin, no problems, no health problems, didn't even have health care. So this is something that has definitely changed my life. It didn't happen right away, and that's what I think that people really get it confused, is it didn't happen right away. It happened gradually, and it snuck up on me where I couldn't figure out what was going on, what happened to my skin, why am I getting these rashes. I ended up at a local clinic, and this lady couldn't figure it out either. She sent me to a dermatologist, and the dermatologist gave me a biopsy and sent it out, and realized that I had not only one little cancer, but some other kind of cancers in this little spot that they found. So the test went on, and it found out that, yeah, I did have cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, which is basically skin cancer, but it's not like your grandma's skin cancer where she gets on the nose and I get it burnt off and it's all cool, or to get it cut out and it's all cool. It's not like that. My cancer is everywhere. As you can see, it's on my hands everywhere. It's been worse. I've had it everywhere, but I've been through radiation, I've been through chemo, I've been through pills, I've been through all kind of treatments, and they still can't figure out what to do with this cancer. I have one of the rarest cancers that they've seen, so they don't see this a lot. They see a little bit here, a little bit there, and they're able to deal with it. But after all of the cancer and everything, and after what happened, you know, with me being an applicator, I had to put spray and do the job, and I couldn't do the job anymore. I refused to spray after the second time. I told them not spraying anymore. So I was getting sicker anyway, and couldn't work much anyway, so I had to leave that job. I ended up getting fired from that job because of just not being able to come. So it just got worse and worse for me. So I ended up looking for help any way I could. So that's how I ended up on the internet, just searching around, trying to find out what I could about lymphoma. And that's when I ran into a lot of information that was already on the internet that I had no idea was there, because I had no reason to look up pesticides or anything. But there was people that have been dealing with glyphosate and cancer and whatever for years. People have been settled out before in different countries and different cities in silence. So when I found the Miller firm doing all those searches and whatever else, they took my case on and told me, we'll take your case if you want us to, and we'll represent you from here on out. And that's what they did until we went to court and won against Monsanto, and found out a lot of information that Monsanto was hiding, emails and everything, and stuff that really shows that this company has a bottom line of making money and not worrying about what their product is doing. They've even said they tested it and whatever else, but it's unethical to test pesticides on humans. Like I said before, we couldn't take this half of the room and spray all you guys with a concentrated Ranger-prone water and just leave us with a spray of water and then test and see if you guys all get cancer. They can't do that in America, they can't do it in Hawaii. It's unethical to test on humans. So they tested on animals, and they have found mice that have lesions and everything. But they don't say that to humans that it could give you cancer. So that's one of my goals, is to hopefully get their label changed and to keep the conversation going about this. And like I said, I've called myself the leaf that didn't die. So that's why I'm here to talk about this and keep the story moving so people can get educated. Because like we were saying in different conversations here before this, is that I think the main thing is just education. People need to learn what to do and what not to do and what we can do better. Yeah, so that's my spiel.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Sharing your story.
Actually, before we move on, does anybody have questions for Lee?
How are you feeling now?
I'm okay. I mean, like, I have problems with certain areas, which I call little hot spots. But right now, I've been taking what I call a Jimmy Carter drug, Keytruda. I've had 1 dose of that. So I'm hoping that I'll get some good results from Keytruda. I'm seeing a lot of change in my skin since I've had only one needle full, you know. So hopefully it works, and it's not just something like chemo or whatever that does temporary bandages. This thing is supposed to be towards a cure, which they said there was no cure for my cancer. So I'm really hoping that this thing can at least give me some relief and clear skin for at least 6 months. I haven't had even 6 months of, you know, being healthy for 5 years. So I feel pretty good for what I've been through, but I don't feel like I used to feel. I feel like I have cancer. I feel like I'm taking pills, you know, for pain and whatever else. I feel like a sick person, but it's just the way I carry it. Yeah, I try to not let that, you know, take control of me. I'm taking control of the cancer. Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to hear a little bit more. Sorry if I can. How does your experience affect how you view what we all see as normal? Like, right now it's totally normal for all of our county agencies to go down the road and spray a bunch of Roundup, and like, they just think this is the cheapest way for us to do it. And when we say maybe it's not a good idea, we all think, oh yeah, it's not a good idea, but what else are we going to do? Like, how has this whole thing affected the way you see this whole situation?
The way I see it, like when I passed by the guy earlier today and he's out there, he's got nothing on. I don't know what he had in that backpack, but he's spraying something. After I learned about, and after I got sick basically, it really concerned me about what I was doing, especially on elementary campuses and high school campuses. That was my spray zone. It wasn't on the fields and freeways.
Right.
It was around people. And it was very serious, and it was very, you know, talked about all the time. So to see it make people sick like myself and find out how many other people are sick, it really didn't do me well. I was really concerned. And then to hear how they didn't really care about it didn't make it any better for me. So yeah, I really feel like that people, if they only knew, that they would just probably change their ways. I think that it would help. That's why I'm out here, is to try to just keep the noise going about, you know, let's think about that it's on our food, it's in baby food, it's in your wine, and why? Because they're spraying it right there with grown grapes, with grapes that are ready to be harvested. They're still spraying it on stuff that is ready to go, and that's what they really want to do. That's one thing that bothered me about the internet searches, is that I felt like that this company was trying to control the food supply at one point. I think that's their goal. If they can get everybody that loves GMOs and food is not real and seedless things and stuff that's all twisted and turned, then they can control the food market. So I think that's their goal. People told me don't go up against this company. You know, they have people in the government and everything. Don't fight this company. I was told that by people, but I had no choice. I was losing everything. This wasn't about lawsuits and stuff for me and big money. That was just happened to happen. This was about, I was out of choices. I was very sick. I had nothing to lean on. You know, so that's what brought me here, is the fact that I was in a desperate situation. So to be able to help with that and be able to be a part of the movement, it feels really good. Because without my case, you know, if they would have lost, we would have lost being a bellwether. All the other cases would have got shut down. And they would have been able to say, see, we told you, we proved it in the court that our stuff is safe.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why you see these guys out here with no PPE, no gloves sometimes, no boots, because it's so, oh, it's safe. It's
Right.
safe as, when I got hired, they told me it's safe enough to train. The trainer that was training me, you know. This lady came out as a trainer and told us, oh, it's safe enough to train.
Yeah.
You can wear PPE if you want to, if you don't, it's okay.
Right.
Not good. Not good.
Okay, so of course, Lee is going to chime in on a bunch of other stuff as we move forward, but we all live in a practical world, and you guys are like, okay, great. So what are the alternatives? You know, again, I know that you're overworked and you're under budgeted and all this kind of stuff. So I want maybe Dewayne Sparkman to go next.
Yes.
He's been working with our Maui County Parks Department and with his own resort on tangible solutions. So
Yeah, so just when I first got into the West of Maui about 6 years ago, came straight out of the national park. In the national park, we do apply chemistry. There's no doubt about it. It's just very, very regulated chemistry. Anytime we spray any type of herbicide near a waterway, you have to pull a permit. It's a governmental law. So for us, we live in a national park. The whole thing is basically watershed. Everywhere we spray in there's watershed. So every time we spray, we had to be part of the permit. Okay, these permits are extremely stringent. Okay, like I said, you have to be able to calculate per milligram the plant uptake, so you can show that your output equates to what you put on the ground, and that equates to what the plant efficacy took up and only died and didn't go into the soil, right? Because the whole point with this material, like he was saying, it can run off. Anytime you have synthetic material, microbes don't take it. Microbes die from it. Okay. So like the materials that I'm telling you guys are just offering to use are actually fatty acids, stuff that we consume on a daily basis, actually in higher concentrations than what you would use to spray plants to kill them. And these fatty acids just basically melt the cuticle, the waxy cuticle off the plant material. Now you cannot treat it, and you can't act like it is a replacement to Roundup, because their application is different. You have to apply it during certain times. You want new flushing on plant growth, so you mow first and then you apply on brand new flushings a week later. You do not spray this stuff on calloused old material. You don't spray it on anything that has too much tomentum, too much hair on it, which means it needs to be cut and regrown and then sprayed when it's young. There's also timing with certain materials like citric acid, where you would actually apply during a misty rain or during an early morning dew when everything's wet. That's the time you apply. You do not apply when it's dry. So there's different ways and different methods in applying this stuff that the efficacy is equal to Roundup.
Dewayne, can you get specific right now? I'm going to remind you, we had
Yes.
this conversation about there's two products. The brand names are Avenger
Yes, there's Avenger, Scythe,
and there's Scythe.
there's Phytera, Axe,
Yeah.
Biosafe,
Can you, for
all
example,
down.
talk about the difference between the
So-
usage of those two, like where Avenger
Yes.
would work and where Scythe would work?
So like for instance, Scythe is a product that is made by Dow. It's not certified organic, yet it uses pelargonic acid. Comes from a geranium, okay? So this is a fatty acid that's squeezed out of a geranium, and then you apply it straight to the plant material. Efficacy close to Roundup, can be used in dry material. Doesn't like stuff with a lot of tomentum, okay? So if it's like cane grass, right? So cane grass has a lot of fur, a lot of, all that fiberglassy stuff, that's tomentum.
So Scythe is not going to work on cane grass.
Not on old cane grass, but it will work on fresh cane grass. So after it's cut and it flushes out brand new, that can be applied and be knocked down. It burns it down. Actually, cane grass, nothing organic, will work on old cane grass. Sorry. It has too much tomentum on it. The hairs are so long that the water droplets stay off the plant material when it touches it. It balls up, yeah, and it runs out. Now this is also a burn down material, which means you spray this plant until you see it run off the plant. This isn't a, oh, that'll do it. No, this is you douse that plant until you see it run off the plant. Then you know that plant's gonna die.
Can I just go back? Cane grass, is that what we have, we call guinea grass?
Yes, they're similar, real close. Guinea grass is a little bit smaller than cane. They have two different scientific species.
Because guinea grass is what is causing a lot of problems. That's really uncontrollable, and they're trying to figure out a way not to spray. I know I spoke with our Don,
Yeah.
and he was saying it when he first came on. If you notice, the highways in Hamakua had so much guinea grass was starting to encroach on the highway itself, and it's because he was trying to minimize the use of Roundup.
Right.
And then it was where he couldn't. So I know they went by and they ended up spraying Roundup and the thing just all started dying, but, so,
Right, no, I understand it. So that's where you phase in new technology. You know, where you say in those areas with that, you just have to run a mower over it. You know what I mean? And you just put it on the program to mow it. Or it's
well, you
mow
cannot, yeah,
and then
because
spray.
it's on the, it's
On the
like on
hillside.
the cliffside.
Right, and that's
You know,
where those
through the
extension,
gulches and-
yeah, right, that's where those extension arms
Right.
work. I mean, we use them all throughout Maui all the time in the same type of topography along on a highway.
Yeah.
So we reach over guardrails and grind stuff down with those
Yeah.
machines. A lot of it's also manual removal, where we're actually contracting out private companies now, and they're doing guardrail maintenance with weed whackers
Right.
and hand pulling.
Right.
Okay,
I
so
like
you're,
that.
not only are you providing jobs, but, you know, you're also negating chemistry, which is, that's where you want to be, is try to negate that chemistry. We're also finding that when you use these herbicides, and you might not know this, but Roundup is a food-grade antibiotic, which means it kills all biota, not just a plant, it kills everything, okay? It kills all your microbes, it kills your mushrooms, it kills your bacteria, it kills everything that holds your soil in place, which means basically, if you have a cliff face you've sprayed Roundup on, now you've just disattached everything for that soil and you're soon gonna have landslides. No doubt, it's gonna happen.
And I used to spray in Benicia. At our old football stadium, we had the old school aluminum seats, and it's set in concrete pillars on the side of this hill. And that was one red flag my boss told me, do not spray Roundup on that hill. You know why? They didn't want to see that freaking band, that whole seat thing where people sit for graduation and for football games on the home side
Right.
to fall into the baseball field.
Right.
Don't spray that hill. So yeah, it tears the whole thing out.
And it really
It
does.
kills your soil.
So when we talk about wheat, and we talk about barley, and we talk about beer and bread and all this stuff that we eat.
Cheerios.
Cheerios, yes. All sprayed within 1 week of being processed. Now the scary thing about it is University of Hawaii already has it. You can look it up. University of Hawaii study upon glyphosate. 264 days in fresh water still. And animated can work sitting in fresh water for 264 days. So now you just sprayed it on wheat, you just processed it into bread, and it's not beyond 3 months. You haven't even reached 200 days. You still have glyphosate in your food. And we eat it every day. It's in honey, because people, the companies fly down and they crop dust these vast amounts of Roundup ready crops. And the bees are they're down there foraging, doing their business. It doesn't kill them, but now they take this material back and take it to their honey hive.
So, Dwayne, I'm gonna try to keep people on task, only because I know that
Sorry.
you guys have specific, no, don't be sorry.
Yeah.
You guys have specific questions, so I'm gonna pull you back to the Scythe versus Avenger thing.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah, no, because this is important, this is like what you guys are gonna use at
Yes,
work, basically. So,
The
Scythe,
Avenger would
yeah.
work better in Hilo.
and Scythe is what, it's citric acid
No,
based.
Scythe is
I mean, no, Avenger
pelargonic.
is citric acid based,
Yeah,
sorry.
pelargonic acid base. So it's a fatty acid. It's a burned down fatty acid. Then you can get fatty acids from vinegars. You can get it from apples. You can get it from palm oils, coconut oils, geraniums. There's a number of fatty acids. Matter of fact, goat's milk makes a great fatty acid. It's Korean Farming 101. You make your
We
own
have lots of
Roundup
goats.
Right.
out of goat milk.
So talk about Avenger, where Avenger works.
So Avenger needs a little bit more help. Avenger is a citric acid base, comes out of Florida. They take up the rinds from oranges, from the orange industry, and they make limonene-based material. It smells great. When you go spray it, it's like, all right, I'm in Florida, I smell orange juice all day. So it actually smells really good. Efficacy is a little bit different because you have to apply it when the plant material's moist. You do not apply this material to a dry plant. It won't work. So you have to follow the directions to a T because it tells you in there when to apply it. And once the plant is moist, the stomatas are open, they're little tiny mouth holes on the bottom of the plant material, and that's what takes it in. But it won't take it in when it's dry, the stomatas are closed. And that's the problem. Also with things with heavy tomentum, when they're moist, the water droplets are on the plant, that material can get sucked right into that plant.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna, because there's some really important things that I want you to talk about that I want to make sure that you get on today. So the first thing that I want you guys to notice is when people ask us, what do I spray instead of Roundup? There is no one for one. I'm gonna tell you, nothing is gonna kill everything in its path as cheap as Roundup.
Nope.
But you know what? It's also too good to be true. Like something that's that cheap and that deadly and that easy for you comes with a price, you know? So in order for us to figure out how to get away from Roundup and all this other stuff that for me is in the same boat as Roundup, we have to really change the way that we think about our jobs. Monsanto and these chemical companies did a really good job of robbing us of all of our creative problem-solving skills and saying, here's this cheap thing that you don't have to use your brain. It will kill everything in its path, including people. So in order for us to get off of that, we have to get our creative problem-solving hats back on.